They say listening to a podcast is a good habit, so we are here with season 2 of Art Saga Dialogue. I am glad that you tuned in here to listen our guest, architect Hiren Patel. In this podcast, we discuss about his journey and his love for sketching. You will definitely learn many things out of this one, as I did. A video of this podcast is available on YouTube. Link is added in the description. Let's start season 2 with a bang.
So, hello, sir. Welcome to Art Saga Dialogue, and thank you for taking out time for this interview. And I still remember I got a reply from you, and I was so happy that I will be getting a chance to have this interview with you.
Okay, thank you so much for invitations.
So, starting our discussion today with our first segment, which is PSD, Philosophy, Story, and Design. So, sir, can you tell how can you define your design philosophy?
Okay, anybody's in their journey will have a design philosophy right from beginning of their career. As you pass by and as you move forward a journey of architecture or design or interior designing or landscaping designing, your thought process also keeps changing. And that's how your design process gets evolved slowly. When you become an architect, you want to become Le Corbusier, you want to become Louis Kahn, you want to replicate those kind of work. Slowly you start getting more and more of maturity, and that's how your design philosophy does change. Yes, there's always an influence of what you study. There's so much of influence of your professors. There's so much of influence of your school itself, so that makes lots of difference because that's how you have been trained. So that remains forever till you practice, because you have very good memory of those things. So for at the moment, I would say design philosophy, we call it HP itself, is like a design philosophy. We say we are very happy, we are very positive about whatever the works comes. But yes, we as a designers, we are accountable. Because we work for the buildings which will stay for generations, and whatever we create has a lot of impact on the people who are using that. That means whatever you create cannot be taken for granted or for a fun or with ease, but we are as a designers, we are absolutely responsible and accountable for that. So that's one way of what you call a philosophy about the service giving to the people as a professional. And second is the one which is about design philosophy. Yes, that's your let's say sincerity towards the work, but the second is like actual design philosophy. And that I would say that we try to become like a versatile. We don't have any particular style or particular liking for the kind of thing, but definitely whatever we design, we try to blend with the nature, with the landscaping, and try to connect whatever we create, so people who are using that place how best they can be connected with the nature. So that's one can say like a design philosophy. Second is whatever style, one can say is very modern, something like very concrete, the way you see on the background of our own house, and or maybe there's something very traditional like the house of Kerala, or inspired from Gujarat, or maybe Goa house. So all are those are like a different style. So we respect each kind of architecture. We listen to the client and try to work what they like. But as a designers, we try to work with the timelessness. So I would say timelessness would be the second very prime aspect of our designer. After connecting to nature, would be the whatever we try to design, we try to see that it should not become fade out after the years, and it stay ever a beautiful. That's a big task. Slowly, if you work upon, you slowly realize that, and that's how you, with lots of excitement, you come with some form and everything. But we try to filter it out because we think, is it going to be a timeless or not? And then slowly you come with a very simplistic end results, but it stays forever.
Yes. So, like, what has been your inspiration for architecture?
Yeah, yes, I always wanted to be an architecture. I always wanted to come into the architecture. So I think lots of things in surrounding with the family. My brothers were civil engineer builders. My father was town planner, working in government, and our neighbors were the dean of the or the main one of the key people of the NID National Institute of Design, which is very famous institute in Ahmedabad. So all this surrounding actually made me so there's something called architecture, and that's inspired me to go to the architecture. For me, I mean, you wanted to know about what is the inspiration in architecture, or what exactly you want to say?
What has been your inspiration, like to be in architecture field?
Yeah. So this aspect of my father being a town planner and my brother being a civil engineer, and they used to make a model when I was I was a quite young kid because I was youngest in the family, and my brothers are quite. Uh, there's a gap of 7 years, so they were like real buddies, big brothers. So they when they were in college, I was still a kid in school, and they used to make a model, and then he said, "This is we engineers makes the building, but architects design." So that's how I came in the world of architecture. I said, "Wow, this seems to be good that we can design and the engineers can build." And then there was a beautiful house coming next to our house from this NID professor. It was nice exposed brick work, and it's a very different kind of building. And then that also connect me that wow, this somebody coming every weekend. I used to see them coming there with the photographer Hiren Patel, very renowned photographer, and they used to see the way building was stepping up like an artist watching the canvas. And I think those my childhood memory actually made me to move towards architecture, and that's how I just entered to architecture.
So, sir, I have also read about it that you love sketching a lot. So, can you please tell us more about it?
Yeah, I think sketching is a very good tool. I mean, I mean, we grow where we study architecture design. That time there was no computers, so obviously the design tool was sketching, and we had lovely faculties, right from architect B.V. Dosi, award winner. He was a founder of the college at SEPT, and he always had a big pocket, and he used to put a pencil, and whenever he will sketch it, or even he comes for a jury, and if he likes something, being a student we are explaining, he will take out his diary and he will sketch it out. So we saw those kind of that great teachers also were always good at sketching, and our faculty also insists upon making sketches. So that's how the sketching become a good tool. Second, somehow I was always connected with the fine arts. So we had our fine arts faculty, I mean the painting faculty was a professor called Piraji Sagra. He was, I would rank him as like a Hussein. I mean, they were all buddies and that much talented artists. So somehow I really get connected with the painting, and all my 5 years of elective subjects, I took always a painting. So people would go to the different subjects, but I always prefer to take a elective as a paintings, which was never compulsory after second year. But I took it, so that's how I actually fall a lot more into different techniques of drawing, from watercolor to sculptures to everything. So somehow by the time I become an architect, I was well equipped with the sketching. It's become very part of it. It's become very easy. You know, we say that when the art become artless, so I become very fearless with that. So that's how you keep on doing, and then year after year, you in fact improve yourself drastically. And that's how I mean I love about sketching and putting the things on memory. I was always good in the sketching, and I still have a memory of my second year the subject of history of architecture, and I could not understand anything what the professor taught us. And I was from the basic, I graduated in schooling from the Gujarati medium, not English medium standard. So for me, first, second year was difficult to understand, pick up the English language of college. So entire semester had gone, and there was the exam next day, and I was really wondering, कि मुझे कुछ भी नहीं आ रहा है. How can I will clear the history of architecture exams? And I asked one dear friend who was like obviously very good at English and everything and literature. I said, why don't you explain me about what has been taught? And that the guy is a faculty of professor in Baroda Registrar School at the moment. So he explained me about everything here, and this is what the professor taught in a very our native language in Gujarati. And next day we had an exam, and then so I could understood everything so well because he really explained me about how the Byzantine architecture works versus Christianity, and what is the Christian church plan versus the Greek church, and what are the architecture character of the Roman versus Greek, and so many things. So when the exams came, I could understand, but I could not write. So what I did, I sketched them out, everything. And I thought, आज pass नहीं हो गया तो बहुत हो गया. And after a week, the Professor Kulbhushan Jain, very renowned architect and a scholar, he came with my paper and he showed to everybody. He said, I will give 100 out of 100 to this guy because this is an answer book of an architect. And thus I realized the power of sketch. So yeah. And then in practice, I would say there was another professor called Sarat Javeri who used to work with Calatrava in Switzerland. And he is a Gujarati guy. So surprisingly, he lives in the same complex near to our office. So he used to come, and he came one day with some video of Calatrava where he's making watercolor. And that's how, in that time, I picked up the watercolor as a design process of that. So that's how I absolutely, because of good faculty, because of good colleague in a career, I could pick up sketching as a tool, and which says much more well than the photography or the maybe writing. Writing, I would say writing is also equally important to put your thoughts through the letters. That's also something very interesting. Yeah, but I would say that doesn't mean that today's architect has to be as good in sketching. If they are very good in their computer software, equally good. I mean, because I had a tool of my hand sketching, but maybe today's young architect would have another way of working with a computer. So that's fair enough. I am not in favor of much that our faculty says, "Aapko seekhna padega." No, if you are comfortable with computers, I mean, it's a matter of bringing out your thoughts in an abstract way rather than basic AutoCAD drawings. That's what it is. Yeah.
But so one thing is common between younger architects and the architects like before, that history of architecture troubles everyone.
Very true. Yeah.
So
but it's an interesting subject as well. Yeah.
Yes. So my next question to you is your architectural experience as a student and as a practicing architect.
Okay. I would say that I passed out from School of Architecture, CEPT from Ahmedabad, which is one of the renowned school. So that was a good advantage I could get it. And luckily we have lovely faculty, right from architect called Kiran Pandya to Leo Pereira, B.V. Doshi, Rajesh sir. So everybody, Vasavada sir, I mean, Kulbhushan Jain, and number of all the faculties were fantastic. I mean, absolutely dedicated to the field of architecture. Professor Kula Varki, and so that's where I think we realized that you have to actually dive into deep ocean of architecture. So that's become one of the major part into the sincerity towards our design process. Second, I was able to I went back to the in my third year I was selected for the exchange program, and I went to Switzerland. And that 1 year staying in Switzerland actually made a huge impact on my sincerity towards the work, because I could see that the Swiss people are really good at detailing, really sincere about whatever they do. And that's made me to realize that speak less and work more from Swiss people. So that was one during the let's say school time. What was the question again? If we elaborate, I can say about the practice
and experience as a practicing architect now.
Yeah. So this was like in college. This made us to real hardcore architect right from beginning to prepare for this, because the school has taught us to take it your subject or your professor very sincerely. And second, also, like somehow I always had a understanding towards professional way of working. So whenever there was vacation, I used to go and work to few architects, the local architects. So there I could enter in a little early stage of while I was in second year, third year. I used to go in vacation and work with different architects, just for my own learning, nothing else. So that's how I could actually graduate. I knew what other architect firms are working. And after graduation, I also went to work in Switzerland for 1 year. But then what happened that my brothers, they are the real good builders. And they say, why don't you come back and there's a project for you to work. So I had to actually jump straight to the practice. But I think my college time when I worked with various architects, it has helped me. So I could sense the way of this. And then the habit of studying. Whenever I get the chance, I don't miss that out. So that's I can say that I'm still a student, and I would like to, wherever I get the opportunity to work somewhere, I'm always eager. So if there's small courses, I would go. So I went to Blair Market Masterclass. He's an Australian architect, Pritzker Award winner. I went in 2005. I was the first Indian architect who did masterclass with Glenn Market. Now there are so many people that's gone after me. So that's kind of, I do online landscaping learning with the masters and kind of thing. So wherever I get the opportunity to chance to work with somebody, I always get it. So that's what's become an inspiration, because you keep on seeing different work of architects and follow them. Yeah. And now it definitely helps Instagram. When Norman Foster will post something, I will zoom it out and see उनके पीछे क्या है, उनकी पेंसिल कौन सी है, उनका कौन सा पेपर है, no? So that's what is the curiosity I still have, being a, let's say, so-called successful architect, but I'm still like as curious like you guys. Yeah.
So Instagram has been a good medium that we can see the architects' works from around the world, and that has
Absolutely.
been like a good tool for us right now.
Absolutely. Right.
So
Yeah.
moving on to our second segment, it is a bit about knowing you as an architect. So the segment 2 is knowing the process. So can you tell about the project which is close to your heart?
I think many projects are very close to heart. I mean, I couldn't say that. No, it's something like you ask your father, and you say which children you are the dearest to. So you would say obviously all of them has their own quality, and equally, yes, there are certain projects which are close to your heart because of its own challenge, different kind of scale of working. I would say there was one small community center we did called Manav Gulzar, which is in a it's for underprivileged students, and we designed the community center for them with very tight budget, and it was the money from donation. So we have to be accountable. Whatever is spent, we have to see that the money has come from someone, and whatever is spent, we are accountable for that. So that end result has come good, because when you see the young kids using their space and improving their life, and you feel very blessed, because I mean, it's very difficult to capture this project into the photography, but it's a place to experience. So I would say the Mano Gurza is the one which is very powerful, because we cannot capture the quality of that place and space in picture. So that's beyond your, let's say, picture. So those kind of projects are very rare. I mean, one can say that you can sense it, but you cannot capture. So that's a project which is very close to that. Yes, we did some long years ago. We did the Dada Mia Mosque, which was very close because it was different in terms of urban planning, but it came out very nicely in a tight space. So that was a good. Yeah, couple of good houses we did where we are. I would say also there are many real estate projects are very close to heart, because when you go back, we have designed one project we call it Frangipani, and we could sense that I always like to go back and check how people are using it, and you see that happiness of people. Then I will just talk, and randomly, even after this almost 7-8 years, people say, yeah, we love this place, and then you feel really happy because you have created something which is really nice for them.
So what defines a good design?
Yeah, I think something which serves purpose to your client is a good design. So I would say rather than imposing a kind of a good design, you should try to absorb what your projects demand. Be open-minded. Don't keep the mental block of your liking, but be a risk taker about even if you're not comfortable. But if some project demand, try to work upon. And end result comes where over the years it's still functioning well in terms of function, not in terms of aesthetics. I would say it's a good design.
I would like to ask you one more question, that what is the importance of light in architecture according to you?
Light is a very fantastic element. Light is the one which brings energy. I mean, that's what we have actually learned to observe the light during the lockdown. I mean, we were all, including you and me, we all were in madras of work or studies or whatnot, and or socializing, or we never observe the way the sun moves. And because of lockdown, you were stuck to the one spot, and you realize that every day the sun moves differently. I mean, every day. So the lockdown started from March and it continued for 3 months. You realize that every day the sun would set in a little different angles, and then you realize, oh my God, in winter it really moves so much towards the other side. So suddenly you realize that there is so much of magic, dynamism of light, and if you play, your architecture will become dynamic every day, because every day is beautiful. So that's where we feel. Surprisingly, we didn't work much with the light in our project, but we were working to have a relation between our architecture and inside spaces versus outside garden, because that's how we wanted to connect with the nature. And surprisingly, because of that, our buildings had a larger opening, and that's how the light penetrates inside so well. And we realize that there's so much of joy of light having inside. So that's the one part of it. So that's the natural light. And the same way we realize the importance of light. And then if you think of artificial light, it is a subject by itself. And I would say that we really need to work. I mean, I respect the so-called lighting engineers or lighting designers, but I would say as a design by yourself. I mean, you should design the artificial light. I mean, you can take the help of those technical people who are experts in that, but kind of designing ambience, I mean, you have to design by yourself. So there are beauty of artificial light as well as natural light.
So one more additional question to you, like in this segment, what's your take on sustainable architecture?
Yeah, I mean, sustainable architecture is a must for today's time, because we have to slow down, because we have fast forwarded so much that in India we see that you feel very painful things about the way when we travel on the road, or we just travel to even including the villages, kind of the plastic throwing and garbage is there. I mean, we are just, it's crazy. And suddenly, like we had seen in US that waste of material, if you just buy one sandwich, but you get so much of extra stuff which you just throw it away. We were never like that, but we adopted the same thing for easiness of the things. Then we say it's the hygiene point of view, and a lot many, I would say, answer to that, which could be right or which could be, it's everybody's own perception. So I can't say that using the steel vessel and dishes and use and wash is much better than the eating on the paper dish. I mean, or giving the tea to somebody on the paper cup would be a more hygiene compared to you repeat that thing and just clean with the what you call rack, we say, no, it's the S from the coal. So I mean, so those were the wonderful thing, but then it's very personal. For me, it is okay. Somebody is not, so I can't. But what happened that we have been using our resource so much that we need to really slow down, and we have to work towards a sustainable architecture. So that's must. I mean, it's the thought process should not go away. Now, I cannot become masters of that, because it will again vary to vary. So somebody who's really good at, he will say, okay, what this serial is, ye baatein badi karta hai, but wo khud to karta nahi hai, right? So I say that's okay. But still you have that thing in mind, that how can I be a sustainable designer, or how can I bring little sustainability to those things. That's always a collective work. Slowly it will happen, and slowly it will. I'm sure there is going to be a solution in near future. I mean, I'm just trying to think of the kind of petrol we are using, and now if people say that the EV, electrical vehicle, will completely going to change in next 5 years. People say that the battery itself is more hazardous than the petrol, something we understand. But just try to imagine, entire Nagpur, you are from Nagpur, I'm from Ahmedabad. Just imagine the entire city is on electric vehicle. The kind of the noise pollution will be reduced. One cannot believe it. So there are so many advantages. Slowly, we all will going to come understand. But yes, sustainability is very, very important to keep in mind. Even you're making the most expensive villa from the people, it is always good to say to your client about sustainability. Forget it. Itna bhi kar diya to bhi is better than not doing anything. So they will think of something of, and that's how you talk to never give up the idea of sustainability.
So personally, as an architect, I love exposed bricks and concrete structures. So even I'm seeing an exposed artwork at your background. So
right.
As an architect, do you love to explore these materials? And again, what different materials you want to explore in future?
Right. So yes, exposed concrete and exposed brick. That's where Ahmedabad is known for it. So we have, let's say, brought and brought up with those buildings which are very simple, but yet very beautiful with that material palette of exposed brick and exposed concrete. So obviously that has influence to our way, and wherever we get a chance where clients are comfortable, we impose or we like to use that material palette. So it's a fantastic material palette. Yes, but I'm very open to the rest of the other material. I can't say that that's very good and other is not. So I also like the natural stone and use of natural stone. Even using the natural stone as a cladding material is also a wonderful thing. So that's also a good material palette for us to work. I love wood. I would say glass is the one which I love the most, and try to use it in a way that which connects the inside and outside. That is only material which is transparent and you can actually connect inside to outside. Yeah.
So moving on to our next segment, which is advice to the aspirants. So
okay.
What should be an aspiring architect/intern expect being part of your firm? And one more question to that, what should be the technicals and soft skills do you consider while hiring an intern or an architect?
Okay, so I would say there's a desire and burning desire or passion for designing is the one we look for. Who are also join office, we say entering the war. Office is like a war. I mean, it may look beautiful and rosy pictures in the magazine or the blogs, but there's so much of hard work is there, so much, and in our professionalism, there's so much of demand. And I would say that clients are right. So I say that there is always a tear in eyes once in a week for me. I mean, somewhere I fail to justify the projects and clients demand, and they make us cry. It's that tough is our profession. And it's no, earlier there was a lot more respect for a designer. Now that has gone. They say, it's a professional, I'm paying you, you are under my service, you just have to deliver. Earlier it was like being a doctor, that yes, you pay to the doctors, but you have respect to the doctor because he's some respectful figure, which was very similar for designers, architects. And now it has gone. It's a hardcore demand from the client. So we always say that whoever wants to join has to have a lot more desire for creativity. So we only work with the creativity and nothing else, and that's where we have a joy of working. So whoever want to come to the office or join our practice, we want them to have a love for design. So that's the very basic thing, and that's all. If you're not good at the kind of technology is fine. You don't have much of experience, that's fine. But that kind of thing. So basically, and then I always say that you should engross so much. कि चाय का cup भी आया है, so you just forget there's a tea to drink, or kind of. You get engrossed so much that you forget over your surroundings. So that kind of thing. Our office is absolutely like a studio. It's not at all like office. It's absolutely back to the college and kind of atmosphere. So that's everybody loves it. Yes, soft skill, definitely good at the computers because that's a basic tool. So obviously the software called AutoCAD is a basic tool for everyone. SketchUp is another one. The rendering is the 3D Max or Photoshop, or I would say V-Ray, or to use it. If you are good in other like Rhino and all this, we feel nice. But apart from that, we really want somebody with a good sense of composition. So this tool, most of the students, they know. But now the software has so much. If you are doing, let's say, rendering in Lumion or 3D Max, you have so much ready things available. So when you are making one house and you will put a car there and you will put the garden set there and maybe 5 trees, but you have to compose them nicely. You will see that what goes well. Otherwise, it's become like chaotic. So that is very important. So the sense of composition is very important. So for me, whenever I see the work, anybody who applies to the office, I would definitely see his portfolio in terms of his own composition. So that's when I will just flip through and I will try to understand what kind of composition of his portfolio is there. Then I will go as a second step to go what kind of project detail he has done. So for me, sense of composition is very important because you have so much thing, but you have to arrange nicely. So that's what we would be looking for. And obviously the people who come to us, they learn the way of more about relation between architecture, interior and landscaping all together, because we generally do the work all together. So that's how it makes more sense for people to become sensitive towards whatever you are feeling. That if you're the interior designer, you have much more understanding of architecture and much more understanding of landscaping because sitting side by side. So that's how it really helps the people who are just having expertise in one field. After the couple of years working with us, they really understand the importance of the other field with the good knowledge of that.
What do you think should be taught in architecture school differently, which might help students when they are out in the field?
I would say one international studio is a must for all the colleges. So maybe third year, fourth year, there has to be a project where they are designing either in Tokyo, or they are designing in Munich, or they are designing in Switzerland, in Zurich, or maybe in Manhattan, right in center of Manhattan. So what happened that like today, if some Japanese architect is coming to work in India, he has so much of confidence. But an Indian architect is just to work in Paris, he will have doubt on himself because we are not exposed to that, and because we are still not the one of the top countries of the world. We have little inferiority complex, which is okay, that's fine, but one has to come out from there. So if you get the work in Tokyo, you should be able to sound as confident the way an architect from Tokyo is working in Nagpur. So you sense that. So what happens that how we educate, how we get them exposure, because it's something like the guy is working in Mumbai has a very confidence to work in a very small town, let's say called Nadiad next to Ahmedabad, because he thinks I know so much. Where a boy from Nadiad will have a tough time, even he's intelligent, have a tough time to prove himself to work in Mumbai. So same thing in country wise. So what happened that in education, if we have one studio like that, what happens that if you're let's a project in Manhattan, you study the bylaws of Manhattan, you study how the 80-story building bylaws are there next to each other, you know so much of confidence. For me, it's happened in reality because I went in the exchange program and I work in Switzerland. So I know how the Swiss architects practice works in Switzerland, what are the bylaws, what are the way of. So it's nothing much different than the way we work, but I have confidence because I have worked in those offices. So what happened when I got the work in France, I had lots of confidence because it was next country, next to Switzerland. So for me, there was no fear of working on the project, which was live project for in France. So that's what. So I would say in our education, or if you can also tell your faculty or something, they must include one international studio compulsory. That's how student will have confidence. Professor will understand also a lot more practice. And there nowadays there's so much of collaboration. I'm sure if you say that, okay, we want to design a building in Madrid or Barcelona, the faculty of that college will definitely help you out so much. And now because of technology, so much is online there, so it's now much easy. But then you end up getting good confidence on that, and maybe on those you can also have the faculty from Barcelona online explain, you do your jury in front of them, and you come to know about much more of what other areas people think about the architecture. So that's a must, I would say. I would say that also for my philosophy that architecture, interior landscaping is a one integrated part. And when you let's say study only architecture, there has to be imposed on interior designing and also in landscaping design. Maybe some kind of courses in between just should be have like compulsory electives for landscaping and elective of interior designing is must. If you are let's say taking a interior designing as a main course, then architecture and landscaping should become a part of electives. So that will help because they go side by side. It's very important. Even somebody else is working, that collaborative method is important. So when you want to convey your thinking, it's easy for other person to do. Because I have seen most of the project, all three people, they don't even meet, and everybody has their own philosophy. Ego is not a right word, but philosophy where they would not gel with each other, and finally project gets suffer. So we have to really have that thing right from beginning. So there's a nice, because collaboration actually helps you out. I mean, so that collaborative way of working is must. And third is also having collaboration of a one project where architecture student, interior designer student, and landscaping student is working together for one project. So that also brings you to understanding of how in professional life you can work. So I would say this collaboration is the one thing, relation with architecture interior is the second part, and third is international studio. I think these are three good things maybe college should adapt.
So I think collaboration, exposure to like architects with like international studios, as you told, is very important. So moving on to a last question, in your opinion, how to keep looking for motivation?
Yeah, you have to keep looking for motivation for entire life, and that's even the very senior architect, like B. Dost is the best example. At the age of 90 plus, is still like a child and like a student, and is so keen and to like so. Yes, you require motivation. Now, what happened that it's a long journey. People may get tired of what you have been doing. Sometimes what happens that if you're a good successful story or something, it's like easy ride. Not easy ride in a way that you have so much positivity because you are on the same, you are going on track, and there's a lot more with God blessings. You get that opportunity to keep on moving. So that doesn't happen for everyone. There are people who absolutely struggle in between getting project, getting converted into project, or the way you thought end results is coming completely different. People are not understanding. So these are the part of things. Even happens to me also, but it can happen to others. So obviously, what you look for motivation. So for me, that obviously there are lots of good work of architects. I would like to travel, see their work. Now online, you try to see it. So that's the one motivation. Actually, physically visiting those buildings makes you very excited about number one. Yes, going through the magazine and you find some good project also motivates you to do a good work. That's the one. Apart from that, I have learned a technique of learning apart from the architecture. So I would rather love to meet the fine arts painter and discuss with him about the life of and everything, and get motivation. Going away from your own core profession. So going away from that and going to, let's say, yoga teacher and working with the people, try to understand, or going for some sports where you all are running together and after running you're sitting together. So those are the things actually keeps motivating you from the stress level which you have, the frustration what you have in your day-to-day practice. I mean, it's a huge pressure. I also feel, I can imagine people, everybody feels, and there's absolutely nightmare happens in the night. So much of competition within your colleague or friends. And I'm sure if somebody asks you who was your best friend, you will say my school friend, because in your professional career you are on a war. You are in competition. You are in competition with your own friends. So even you were great buddies in the school, college. In professional career, you are like enemies. Enemies is not the right word, but you are like competitors. And then you are struggling for your own professional career. You are not able to share those emotions with your friends. Maybe you are not even able to meet them. No, because that's the reality. And after the years of, let's say, like of my age or even older people, they say uska koi matlab nahi tha, but that's the way it happens. So you have to really find the motivation, and those all actually brings a lot of stress in your life. So yes, motivation is important. So I think going away, cutting it down, stopping somewhere, आज अभी बंद करो, अभी चलो दौड़ने जाना है और स्विमिंग करना है. That's really makes sense. I would say to young the practitioner that don't give up your sports. I mean, and second is don't give up the best timing. If you're good in the morning, just keep with you. Don't give it to anyone. I mean, those are your creative hours. Whatever you feel like doing, yes, you want to sit and work on computer, just keep for yourself. You are very good at the night or evening. Just don't give time to site visit or anything. Keep for you. That's a good thing, because that will keep motivating you to do every day, perform much more.